Hi, and welcome everyone. I'm John Spear, founder and VP of Quality and Regulatory at Greenlight Guru. How should you approach defining a quality plan and regulatory strategy for your medical device? An established strategic plan will serve as a critical component of both your pre-market and post-market activities. However, the process of actually establishing this plan can be challenging for many companies. This episode will kick off our S.M.A.R.T methodology, the scope phase. The goal of this video is to simplify difficult quality and regulatory concepts. I will also provide actionable steps for you to establish a strategic plan. I'll cover regulatory expectations and share helpful tips for staying up to date on the latest regulatory changes. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you never miss another episode again. You'll start by defining quality and regulatory plan. This will help you map out the next steps for implementing a world-class medical QMS. First things first, you'll need to determine which regulations will apply to your device. Product classification determines regulatory requirements that you must meet in order to legally market your product in those specific parts of the world. Determining your product classification will help you better gauge the costs associated with marketing your medical device. It will also help to give you a general idea of the scope of your overall project. Your device classification will dictate how you draft your regulatory strategy and inform your quality plan. Your plan will guide your product development and design control efforts as well. Hopefully, you're starting to see the dots connecting and why planning early is key to success of your world-class QMS. Let's take a moment to address some common myths of this phase and lay them to rest once and for all. Myth number one, startups don't need to implement a QMS until they've received regulatory clearance or approval. Well, frankly, that's wrong. It's important to implement certain key processes of your QMS early on in the design and development phase. Make sure you establish processes around managing your documentation, your design controls, and risk management at the very least. Myth number two, once I establish my QMS, I don't need to reevaluate it. Yeah, once again, folks, that is wrong. The intent behind a world-class QMS is to enable a state of continuous process improvement. Adopting this mindset will allow you to easily adapt to changing regulations that may impact your medical device down the line. Speaking of regulations, let's switch gears a little bit to address the regulatory landscape of things. ISO 14971 is the globally harmonized standard for medical device risk management. Why is this standard so important, and what does it have to do with the scope phase of S.M.A.R.T? It's a great question. As you implement your world-class MD QMS, the concept of a risk-based QMS is important to understand. All of the processes we'll cover from here on out are connected to risk. Another important one to know is ISO 13485, which is the global standard for medical device QMS. It states that all quality processes must be risk-based. FDA has also publicly announced plans to adopt ISO 13485, probably going to happen in 2020. The agency is also placing great emphasis on risk-based activities by directing device makers to reference risk guidelines from ISO 14971. So make no mistake here, risk must be considered early on in your regulatory strategy. I now want to highlight a few key things that you must do during the scope phase. You must perform a gap analysis. Can you identify the changes that need to be made to your processes? The results of your gap analysis will be important for scoping your project. Check out the description of this video to find some of our free gap analysis tools that will help you accomplish this task with greater ease. You also must leverage internal and external audit findings and results. Many companies spend a lot of time on internal audits but don't actually get any value from them. This is usually because they're treated as checkbox activities. Take advantage of the valuable information that you can gain from your internal audit findings, which can help you identify gaps, issues, and opportunities for continued improvement in your quality management system. You must also create a quality plan. Your quality plan should include the descriptions of the project overview, phases, your expected outcomes, required resources, and so on and so forth. These will be used for defining the scope of your QMS initiatives. I'll leave you with a key takeaway before we head into episode 3 on the make phase of the S.M.A.R.T QMS methodology. Think of it as a mantra of sorts. QMS should achieve 2 primary missions. First, align with applicable regulations, and second, describe company processes that enable the people and technology.